Let's go. Streaming data free on the MTN network in South Africa.
This is Omnisport.
T's and C's apply.
Erik the Red-Faced again this weekend. He cannot afford it. Tonight is the Porto test, but we look forward to the weekend and the big talking news in the Premier League. There is only one man who is under pressure. It is Erik ten Hag. Did I say one man? I meant there's two men. Russel Martin is the other one who we'll talk about at Southampton. If he doesn't change his ways, it could be arrivederci, as they say, as Brad Pitt said in that great, fantastic movie, which I've forgotten the title of now. But he did say arrivederci. It is Inglourious Bastards, I think it was called.
That's brilliant, sorry. It reminds me of Mbulelo Thinta in the 1992 Olympics. And he said, oh, there's that very famous guy. Who could forget his name? And he forgot his name.
Oh, that's absolutely hilarious. I mean, listen, he was closer. You know, he's iconic. I'm closer. I'm not iconic. So yin and yang, you know what I mean? So the great Mbulelo Thinta and some guy called MKT, who's just working his way up. A working class hero, as you know, Kev, a man of the people, emerging middle class, hero of the under-celebrated and, understated. People are calling me Mr. Humility, and I'm comparing myself to the great Dan Mateza. So there we go. And in fact, you compared me to him, so I'm not going to blow my own horn. Let's move into the Premier League.
Yeah.
Big weekend. The old enemy for you and everybody at Anfield. The Premier League will return this weekend, and the conversation that just won't go away is Erik ten Hag's tenure. If they lose tonight to Porto, it's going to be big problems, right? Some people are saying he'll be gone. But if they lose to Villa on the weekend and he's there, that surely will spell the end for the Dutchman if he's gone. Hey, Kev?
Yeah, I mean, you got to think so. So you look, there's a symmetry to how long United managers have lasted recently. So Louis van Gaal lasted 2 years, Mourinho 2 years, 5 months before he was gone at the end of 2018, and he'd signed a new contract. Solskjaer lasted 2 years and 10 months. He'd also signed a new contract before he lost his job. Ten Hag is 2 years and a few months into time at Manchester United. You know, it seems to be that's the end of their tether. That's how long United will give him the rope to hang himself with.
Well, I think you made a good point there, Kevin, because some people are saying it's enough now with firing the coach. How many times have we said it was the manager? Because it can't be David Moyes, who was brilliant at Everton. It can't be Louis van Gaal, who gave us one of the greatest young sides of all time with that Ajax team with Edgar Davids, Clarence Seedorf, Patrick Kluivert, the De Boer brothers, who went on as some of them as teenagers and young in their 20s to win the Champions League in the early in the 90s era of football. It can't be Jose Mourinho, who was unbelievable at Porto, first man to win a treble in Italy, was iconic with Chelsea breaking the Manchester United dominance of English football. It can't be the manager all the time. Some people are now saying enough is enough. We are not doing the 2-3 year cycle. Get rid of the players. What say ye to that?
I'd say that's absolutely right as well. I mean, some of the signings have been an absolute joke. Casemiro is a joke. Harry Maguire was a joke. Absolutely abysmal. And you can see it in the absolute lack of a heart a lot of these guys have. I think, the Sunday defeat to Spurs was an idea that was actually as low as they can go. He had the post FA Cup final high of beating City, but he doesn't have the class of player. He doesn't. Rashford's just out of nick so badly, and his confidence is just shot to hell. We got Onana, a goalkeeper who is occasionally brilliant, occasionally rubbish, and occasionally very, very ordinary. But yeah, he's got definite concerns about injuries from last year, but he hasn't got players with heart. Players that look like they could become new players. I'm going to keep on going back to Liverpool. Like Cody Gakpo, he's become like a new signing, and he's been there for a while.
It's important what you're saying for me, Kevin, is that if you're going to, they say in life, if you want things you've never had, you have to be willing to do things you've never done before. And in Manchester United's case is just like Arsenal did with Arteta, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody, you remember the United fans on YouTube, Arteta out, as he was building those first 3 years, And then boom, in year 4, it popped. They came second. This is year 5 now, and we can see where they are. With your beloved Liverpool, Jurgen Klopp came in, and I think because Jurgen has this kind of, hey, I'd like to have a beer with him kind of thing, people forget that it was a little messy for Liverpool for 4 years. It wasn't like straight pop with Jurgen. Remember, it was 8th in that season that he came in and took over from Brendan Rodgers. And then it was 5th, and then it was 4th, and then it was progressively like 3rd. And then Jurgen, in year 4, year 5, really started to explode. And he only won the title in his 5th year. And then obviously it was 6, 7, 8 years later of pushing Man City to the hilt, right? Is that 3 years isn't enough, because in this case, you remember what Jose said? He said, there were players when I was there. Jose Mourinho was there in 2016. He said, there's 3 players at Manchester United now I wanted to get rid of then, and the club said no. So perhaps rotten to the core, perhaps the managers are all wrong. And I think I'm with Kev McCallum on this one. Man United, change your ways or forever be condemned to all of this. You can join the conversation. Is Erik ten Hag the problem? Are the players the problem at Manchester United? 07 88 77 7716. Who is the problem there? The other man who's under pressure is Russel Martin of Southampton. If Southampton lose and show no fight again, he may be on the hot seat. I mean, it's good news for them because they're only playing a team called Arsenal away at the Emirates. Should be easy stuff for Russel Martin and unbeaten Southampton with 0 victories this season.
Yeah, it's simply not good enough at this level. He's 6 games into the season. They're 19th, 5 losses from opening 6 to equal the worst start since 1980, 98, 99. Bournemouth actually humbled them, and you've got Arsenal and then City, and that's before the end of October. Things are looking not just bleak. Monday night was a collapse. Monday night was an absolute low point. I mean, Adam Lallana is back. He's leading the team in assist. He was benched. Adam Armstrong still there. Kyle Walker-Peters remains sidelined. People want to leave. Kyle Walker-Peters apparently has subbed a contract extension. He doesn't want to be there. So Martin is in dead trouble. And I do agree with you. I was just thinking about back to United, and we forget that there was a time a fan once held up a poster and it said 3 years of excuses and it's still crap. Tara Fergie. And that was just before they won the 1990 FA Cup finals. And that was 3 years in. So maybe we just need to give him a bit of time, to shape his team into his image rather than shape a team into the image of those who come before.
And even with Russell Martin now, he's not willing to change his ways like Vincent Kompany did last season. And I'm afraid at this level, if you don't have the players, you can't play Man City football. But perhaps we need to allow it to bake like an oven and rather stop waiting for the sort of microwave come in immediately, because that just doesn't happen. Pep Guardiola isn't a result of today. It's Man City doing the correct thing. Some people might say 130 charges, and we'll talk about Man City coming up next. But Man City have been building for sort of 8-9 years. How they've built, that's a different question for lawyers behind closed doors. But the fact that they've built it sort of sequentially and it's sort of been a concatenation of good results. And then Pep Guardiola came when the model was perfected. That's been a slow bake. So perhaps we need to give managers more time. Speaking of Man City, though, there's been a crime at Manchester City here, Kevin. There's been a crime, and by the way, it's not what you're thinking. It's not financial steroids that they've been accused of. It's a different crime. It's a player. It's Matheus Nunes. He stole a guy's cell phone.
I mean, he was out in Madrid. He's 26 years old. He's probably in about 200,000, 300,000 pounds a week, and he's nicking someone's cell phone in a nightclub. I mean, what are you thinking? I mean, where do you come with that sort of need to steal a 30,000 rand iPhone or whatever it was? It's probably even worse. He probably stole Hawaii or a Samsung. I can maybe understand stealing an iPhone. That's okay, but don't steal a Samsung. Don't steal a Samsung, for goodness sake.
You've got it wrong there. You've got it wrong there. The Samsung actually is the best phone on the market. It's got an 8K camera and a 4K screen. My Samsung's so good, I can't even look at the photos on my screen because it's 8K photos and it's a 4K screen. I actually have to get a bigger screen. So you've got it wrong there. You're on the right track with him being bad for being a criminal, but you went wrong with the iPhone. But here's his story, right? Is Nunes says the guy took a photo of him without his permission, and Nunes wasn't having it. And then he went and snatched the phone. And the guy went and said, hey, that guy stole my phone. He's a millionaire. I want my phone back. And I mean, what a mess. Some people are saying, Kev, on social media, you're going to love this one. Make that 131 charges.
God, I love it. Yeah. But as you mentioned, and you've said before, City do have some damn fine lawyers.
They do have some damn fine lawyers, and they'll be able. Listen, we know they're not out of practice with the way it is now. Matheus Nunes, boy, oh boy, but he has been released and he's back at training. Speaking about being back, he's back in the 18 area. Benni McCarthy has been spotted back in South Africa. We will speak to Brad Jakes in a little bit about this because this is massive. It is absolutely massive. Benni is back in the 18 area, Mzansi, in South Africa. Benni has been spotted back in South Africa, and he's been spotted with the management of Amazulu in leaked images in the papers, and with Mamelodi Sundowns. It has been leaked information. Him and his longtime agent, Rob Moore, have been spotted with the management of Mamelodi Sundowns as well. We'll talk to Brad Jakes about it in a little bit. But Benni McCarthy being back is one of the most hysterical things in the world. And, you know, in this day and age, especially in South Africa, the way social media just catches fire is, what does Benni think? He can meet all these clubs being arguably outside of Lucas Radebe, not Radebe, Radebe, our biggest export. Does he think he can meet up with the ownership of Amazulu and Sundowns and no one's going to know? You're Benni McCarthy.
Yeah, I see a report in Soccer Laduma saying that Stephen Pienaar might be getting that Amazulu job rather than McCarthy. That whole circus of swapping jobs and going back into the job you just got kicked out of. Yeah, it's stuff. But Benni's, he's had a lot of things to say about United, and he was talking about he questioned the training standards at United during his time there, and he reckons that if some of the United players had what Bruno Fernandes and Diego Dalot have, it would have been easier to achieve good results. They train with incredible concentration, give everything they had. Some others don't do the same. And this goes back to our earlier point about limiting United's progress, because they're not training to the best of their ability. Even the games, the data shows that some of the players at their peak performance and others a little below that. So, yeah, he knows what he's talking about there.
So, Benni McCarthy, for you, good that he's back in South African football? You sort of get his intelligentsia back into the South African ecosystem, or is it bad that a South African coach has, quote-unquote, failed overseas?
I don't think he failed. I just think Ten Hag may have been looking for a scapegoat or just reached the end of his time with United. I love Benny's brashness. I love the fact he's not afraid to speak back to his bosses or even speak ill of them. He doesn't take nonsense, and he's very, very honest when it comes to speaking about South African football.
Benni McCarthy, brilliant as a player, and he showed that with Amazulu you can reach the African stage on a smaller budget. So he has done it before. Benny's shown that he's not just a loudmouth, but he can deliver the results. And he is back, as we say, back in the 90s and noughties, back in the 18 area. Benni McCarthy, good or bad for South African football? 0788 777716. Send your voice notes or indeed your WhatsApps to that number, and we will talk about it more with Brad Jakes coming up soon, because he has the inside scoop. He's a Big J journalist, and I'm sure we'll have plenty to say about Benni. It's Benni's presence in South African football. All right, remember, you can stand your chance to win 50,000 rands worth of cash by listening out for our show's special keyword. Collect that keyword and listen next hour to Brad Jakes and then to Onakosi, and they'll give you their keyword, our keyword coming up at the end of the show. Then send them to 0788 777716. That's 0788 777716. Send that message via WhatsApp and then collect them all. Once you've collected all the keywords, enter the Omnisport competition by sending that WhatsApp to that number again, 0788 777716. In 60 seconds, we'll talk to Brad Jakes about Benni and the Iron Duke, who doesn't seem to be going anywhere.
Listen live and on demand.
Welcome to Omnisport.